Hey guys, so remember that crab that I was eating last night? I've only ate about 3 legs of that and then my tummy started aching. It's so hard to kind of readjust to food all the time, but I've left it in the microwave and now it's kind of black. So I am not going to eat that and I'm just going to model. So I'm going back to my Zbrush right here. So let's go ahead and kind of separate our next thing right here. And as far as I know, we are going to start messing with this and then the tree first. So if I look on my asset right here, okay, so it was the circle and gone shaped thin rock bottom part. Why is it named like that? Let's change the name to something like a ground rock. And we're gonna make 5 variation of that. So I'm just gonna go quickly save this, Control S. And I'm just going to start editing, but for now I am going to separate this. So I'm going to select lasso and kind of just draw this in, and I'm going to split. Okay, hide this thing right here. Now we are going to mess with this. So okay, we have everything, same size, same everything, and we need a variation. If I look on my thing right here, and look at the rocks at the bottom, as you can see, they're different sizes. And some of this are from the beginner's course, which is this thing right here. I just kind of scale them, you know. Keep in mind that you can do that. You can just scale things, especially these things right here, scale it and make a ground rock out of it. But I like having a separate one. I like having different things, so that's exactly what we're going to do. But we need to shape it first, so it's a different variation. So, okay. So I am going to mask the first one here. And maybe I'm going to kind of mask the bottom part right here and go to my move here, drag this up like that, snap it, and then take it up. And I'm just going to leave that like that right now. Let's see. So as you can see, the topology is now kind of spread out. Instead of this and that, now it's all the way right here. We can fix that later by doing a Dynamesh, or we can fix it by subdividing. But keep in mind that if we subdivide this, it's going to add more poly here. So this thing is going to be kind of cramped, and it might add a poly here. So this one's going to have this distance right here. So if we Dynamesh, everything is going to be kind of equal, like this. But if we subdivide, some areas are going to be cramped, and some are going to be like this. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll show you an actual representation later on as we go through this. But right now I just need variation. So I need different sizes. I'm just gonna go mask this, invert. I'm just simply masking, nothing special. Kind of changing shape and dragging this middle thing right here. And what else? Mask. Let's see. So I can mask this bottom right here again and invert again. Let's see. Mask this thing again. Then mask this. Okay, so we have something like this. We accidentally masked that one. How we can erase that is by holding Control Alt. Now your mask is white and that erases it. Okay? I did that mistake on purpose. So, okay, let's move this thing again. Something like this. Maybe I'm gonna leave this two like this for now. Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go shape this. But first off, let's go ahead and Dynamesh this so that everything is kind of spread equally. Now, since we're not really saving any details, any sculpt details right here, we can Dynamesh because we're basically just shaping this. And say you kind of put cracks here and you want to keep that detail, but then you just kind of add more subdivision so you can add more details. What you're going to do, if you want to keep the details and you still need resolution on your mesh, you can go ahead and divide that. But since we're shaping the basic shape of this, I just need to dynamesh this so that the topology is going to be spread out. So like this, as you can see, now it's spread out equally. Now depending on your resolution, say I went back, right? And I up the resolution right here. It's going to take a while, but it's going to add more. As you can see right here, it's going to add more resolution. So more definition, and you can kind of like sculpt this however you want. But I don't need that much resolution. I just need around maybe 64 and enter. So that's inputted, and we are going to click Dynamesh. So bad idea. As you can see, if you lower the resolution too much, it's going to be connected like this. So like, say you're sculpting a finger and you kind of like want to spread out the topology, right? It's always a bad idea to resolution it really like low right here because it's gonna have a web finger. If you don't know what that is, it's like a duck web and it's gonna kind of like connect it. It's gonna look ugly. So I'm just gonna continually up this until it doesn't connect anymore. So I guess this is good for me. I'm going to keep this like this right now. And what I'm going to do next after this is like this is I am going to mask and edit like that and invert. Turn this off. Go to your selection tool and go to your clip curve because we're going to shape this. Let's see, redo that. I like to keep changing angles and just sculpting away. Something like this. Let's see. So we're not gonna just clip everything like the whole way. Like this whole course is not going to be just clipping. We're going to use a lot more brushes. We're going to use the BC, let's see, the curve too later on for making trees. So I'm not just gonna teach you guys clipping. That's gonna be boring. I'm pretty sure you guys like learning new things, but make sure to write down things that I'm teaching you though, so you're not going to forget it. Or at least open a docs, put shortcut keys on it, or if you're from the beginners class, like, have you seen my particle system document? Like this stuff that I put there, it's kind of like whack and it's so funny. At least for me it's funny. But those things help, like a lot. You can't expect yourself to like remember everything unless you're doing it every day, like me. But for people that are really new and it's really hard for them to remember things, write it down. Open Notepad, Google Docs, write everything down. At least like the errors that you get. Like on me, for me, I have like a Google Docs full of like helpful links, stuff that I learned when I was a beginner, like tutorials in case I forget them, because my brain can only like hold so much. It's like I can't really, you know, tell my brain to like, hey, I need this memory right here, retrieve it right now. My brain's not gonna know specifically what that is. I need trigger, like say if I see a flower, triggers a certain memory, so that's usually what I do. I set triggers everywhere so I remember what I'm doing, things like that. But let's see. I'll show you guys quickly what my drive looks like. It's open right now on the different screen. I'm just gonna go to my game docs. Let's see. This one right here, and I believe it was on the docs right here. And have animation reference, links, character reference, processes. This one's crazy, I've had this since college. Like Zbrush masking through pictures. Like all this crazy stuff. And back when I was exporting in Maya and I'm having trouble on pivot points. and I managed to like fix it after like tons of research, because sometimes when you research things, you don't put the right terms and you can't find solutions. So when I find them, I make sure that I note it here, you know? And bunch of tutorials, silhouette study. I've done a lot of silhouette study. Where was that? Why so... ArtStation. Okay. Back when I was doing a silhouette study with my friend in Malaysia, this is what I've compiled in like, I don't know, 2 months or 3 months. I'm not sure anymore because I kind of like stop it. It's supposed to be like a 1-year silhouette challenge, but I've moved to Quebec and my schedule just went really crazy. So at least I finished a like image compilation and stuff. And what else do we have? Blender weight painting back when I was rigging and stuff like that. And a bunch of other things right here. As you can see, it never ends. Even when I'm having bitmaps problem, like if you don't know what that is, it's when you export your mesh and you have a texture and you can see exactly where you cut your mesh. Like you can see the seams. And I didn't know about that back then. So later on, I figured that when you have a 512 by 512 pixel texture, like this thing right here, you're supposed to have a padding so that you're not going to have bitmaps or your seams is not going to show on your asset. I'm going to do this later on, maybe on the advanced section part of the course. But right now we are going to focus on topology and maybe a little bit of UVing and stuff, so that everything is still organized to like beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Okay? So yeah, learn to keep notes. It's very important. So let's go back to this. So I'm just gonna go shape this now. So just clipping this, clip. Don't forget that you can smooth this by just holding shift. Just keep smoothing things. I don't want them completely circular like this. I want it to look organic as much as possible because they're kind of like rocks. So maybe something like this. Don't forget that you have BH, which is your H polish right here. And what does that do is something like this. If you have a kind of like a edge right here, and it's around this angle, I forgot the English term, but I'll just show you what it does. If you just click, as you can see, it flattens that out. So that's really helpful if you're doing stylized rocks, especially if the resolution is up. And you kind of like play with the intensity right here and the size. It's going to kind of flatten that out, and that's always helpful. Especially here on the side. People that does hard surface model use this a lot. My friend used this a lot when he was doing hard surface stuff. Now I'm using it weirdly because I'm using a mouse, but this works best on a tablet. Like some of the stuff that you can kind of get using that is something like this. I'm opening it on the other screen again. Where's Harriet? This one's my Asian friend. He does things like, where's my favorite? It was a snail, like this one. I thought this is really cool. He showed me how to do this. He's just like extruding it, extracting a bunch of polishing, like that brush that I just showed you. As you can see right here, he's just kind of like mapping out the stuff that he's going to extrude, and he just mask and extrude. This is going to be integrated on the character course. Maybe a little bit here, but we'll see. We'll just see later on. So, should we add cracks here, or is that overkill? So we can do maybe something like, I'm going to go back to my clay buildup, BCB, and maybe, let's see, this one. Lower down the intensity, and kind of like, maybe put random stuff here, and kind of like smooth that. I'm gonna up the resolution a bit. Wanna know if it's gonna take that. The H, I'm gonna go back to my H polish, and I'm gonna press Alt. As you can see, it adds flat stuff right here. You can always experiment on brushes to see which brushes does what, but mainly H-polish flatten things out. But if you invert it, as you can see, it adds flat things on the top. It's always helpful. Very, very helpful. So more of this stuff right here. I'm just mainly adding things, flatten things out. I can even go to my clip curve again and just flatten this if I want to. So you can see. Simple, basic stuff. I'm gonna mask this though. Okay. Looks weird. We'll see how these things go, like later on. Forgot to mask. Something like this. A little bit here, maybe. A little bit there, maybe. In here. Because why not? Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of decimate this pre-process or anything. And I'm going to decimate all the way down first to get that count down, and then just start from the middle here and in here. So something like this. As you can see, it's very, very simple. It's not anything banging, not something crazy, but just like we do on the beginner's course, we model the easiest ones first and up it up a notch every time. So I'm going to leave this here. If I want to add more on these things, I'm going to fine tune it at the very end of the modeling part of this video. But right now, I'm gonna leave this thing as it is. So don't forget to save this. So okay, swamp right here. Okay, and I'm going to export this just because. So this is my ground rocks. Alright, so it's save and export, and on the next video, we are finally going to start creating our tree. So we're going to build one with our base in Maya, and we're going to build one completely here in Zbrush. And this is going to be fun because you are going to explore and touch on new brushes like the curved tubes and all that stuff, and I promise you it's going to be fun. Like there's so much potential on each brush, but for now, work on your ground rock, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!
I don't even see anything anymore.